What's good, YouTube? My name is Harris and you're watching another episode of BRG MX5. In this episode, I'm going to show you how to change your brake rotors and brake pads on the front and rear for your car. Now, the reason why I'm doing this is because the light on the dash started to light up, and that would indicate the brake fluid is gone too far down. It could be because you're leaking brake fluid from the master cylinder, or is that the pads and the rotors have gone too thin and all the fluid has been put into the lines, into the calipers, and thus draining the reservoir from the brake master cylinder. So I can show you what it looks like. I'll drop the e-brake down. However, the brake light is still on, so that would indicate that the reservoir is too low. First thing you do is jack the car up, remove the wheels, and place them underneath the car just in case the jack stands fail, but they shouldn't. So hopefully you can see it, but the level isn't at minimum, but it's close to. Let me see if I can get the zoom on here. Okay, so it's definitely past halfway. So hopefully when we open this cap, push the pistons back in, it should rise up higher than what it is now. That's the little float that tells the computer that the brake fluid level is low. Once you got your tire removed, turn the steering wheel to the right or to the left, depending on which way you're looking at, to get access to the 2 bolts behind the caliper. It's a good time now to use WD-40, or if you're Asian like me, new 70, to spray all the bolts behind here so you can easy access to remove it. The 2 bolts you want to remove is this one up here and this one down here. The bottom bolt has been removed, the top one has been loosened. Lift up your caliper, if you can. There we go. That's how it looks like. Remove your caliper from the bracket and then secure it away nice and safely. I should have wore gloves. With your caliper safely tucked away, remove your pads. I couldn't get this pad off, so I'm just going to remove the bracket first. And to do that, there's this bolt over here and this one over here. The caliper carrier has been removed. Those are the 2 bolts that I removed from the hub. And now I can take off the pad, hopefully. There we go. And don't misplace these little these little metal tabs here that the brake pads sit in. They have a certain orientation how they go in and out, so make note of it when you pull them out. If your rotor is stuck on the hub, just like mine, here's a little trick. Get an M8 screw. There's provisions for it on the rotor. Turn this guy in. If I can get it in. Get 2 lug nuts and secure them on the opposite side of the bolt. Do not thread them all the way onto the rotor. Leave about a couple mil gap. Grab an extension bar or your breaker bar and place it between the lug nuts like so. The reason for the lug nuts is to protect your threads, so you're not using this directly on your threads. Then grab your ratchet and turn the bolt all the way till it cracks. And there you go. Now it's time to put in your new rotors and brake pads. This kit that I bought comes with some brake clean rotor wipes and some lubricant. Brake rotors are usually shipped with some oil just to keep them from rusting.
So that's what the wipes, the blue wipes, are for, to just remove that oil before you install it onto the car. There. Look at all this crap. Now if you don't have these wipes, you can just use some brake cleaner and then wipe it off with a rag. Install your brake rotor. Check to make sure your boots, your rubber boots are good. In my case, they're pretty good. Replace back your little metal brackets in the right orientation, of course. Then put in your brake pads. As usual, I installed the brackets wrong, so double check that you put the brackets on the right way. Ta-da! There's a bit of fiddling, but get there in the end. Once the bracket is on, torque the two nuts at the back. Now the next step is to push the piston back into the caliper. Because of the thicker pads and the thicker rotors, it's unable to slide back into the original position. So remember, we removed the brake master cylinder cover. The reason for that is so that the brake fluid can push back into that reservoir. I have with me a big ass G-clamp. You can buy like the proper ones, but this one works just as well. You want to turn it out a little bit and then secure your caliper onto the top hole, just so that we can push the piston back in. Okay, I've got the piston inside its top bolt hole. I've got my bungee cord just securing it up there. I'll get my G-clamp, put it in between the piston. Actually, before I do this, let me show you the master cylinder and what level it's at. Okay, so you can see it's about now like 3/4 on the way up, and when we push that piston in, it's going to go a bit higher. That's the best one there. There we go, just over half. Okay, now the piston's pushed in, let's have a look at the brake master cylinder. And would you look at that? It's a lot closer to the max level now. So that was a successful piston push. Before we finally put the caliper back onto the bracket, we need to clean the slider pin. Use a paper towel, wipe it clean, and then add some of that lubricant onto the pin. Slide that bad boy inside, and let's see if it'll close. Now, looks like I gotta push it a bit more. Ta-da! Just be careful with this bottom boot here. It was pinching as you slide it down, so just push it down this way, so that the bracket, the caliper, can slide on top of it. Grab your other slider pin bolt. Grab your other slider pin bolt, give it a clean, add some lubrication, and install it onto the caliper. You can add some lubricant on the outsides of the brake pads. This will help the caliper slide on and off and not cause it to jam. Yummy! Torque down the slider pin caliper bolts. So that's the front rotor done. Let's do the rear rotor next. So right now I'm behind the hub of the left rear wheel. You want to remove this bolt first. You can remove this brake cable bolt as well. It'll just help you slide the caliper out. Mother, son, that's on tight. Oh, I don't want to punch myself in the face. I cut myself. Oh, mommy, it hurts. My dignities hurt more than my pain. All right, get a 4mm Allen key in there and take it out. This is a righteous pain in the bum. Right, I might just leave it in there because I don't know what's going on. Once that's loosened off, remove the dust plug over here. And once the dust cap is removed, remove the 40mm bolt that holds the bottom of the caliper, which isn't a 14mm. Is it a 10? It is a 10. Ta-da! Put that somewhere safe. Now we should be able to, slide that homie up. Alright. Secure it with a bungee cord. Where's my bungee cord gone? Oh! Alright, get my good old bungee cord. That's the bungee cord holding the caliper up. Now let's place it safely somewhere so it doesn't fall. Alright, now we can take off the brake pads and we can take off the caliper bracket. Oh, try not to lose these guys. Now these guys look like 14 mils in the back. Back. And they are. Now how do I do this without destroying myself? Alright, got them loosened. Destroyed my finger in the process, but you gotta do what you gotta do. Alright, to take off the rotor, it's the same thing. Let's put that M8 bolt in here and see if we can pull it out. And that's how you do it. Put on your new clean brake rotors. Remove the old grease from the slider pin. Get your brake pads installed the right way after trying for like 3 times. Torque down the 2 14mm bolts behind the caliper bracket. Grease up the top slider pin on the caliper bracket, and then reinstall your caliper onto the bracket. You can also put some lubricant on the back sides of the pads, like what we did on the front. If you remove the 4mm Allen key screw, that should go all the way in without any trouble. Clean your old bottom slider pin, add some lubricant onto it, and tighten it down. Once the bottom 10mm bolt is secure, you can put back your handbrake cable and make sure you slide that pin in. Now get your 4mm Allen key and tighten the Allen key bolt at the back until the wheel stops spinning, and then back it off 1/3 of a turn. Once that's done, put your wheel back on and you're good to go. So here's the aftermath of all the brake rotors and pads going in. Something I found out with the rear caliper with the brake, the handbrake, is that this little guy here, you can see how on the tip, the tip is a bit deformed. Well, I was trying to turn the caliper, the piston in towards the brake rotor so it didn't spin, but it was ending up just free turning in there. So what I did was I got the same pin from the other side and brought it in here, turned it so it's good, and then replaced it back there. So this caliper doesn't have this guy here, so I don't think you need that in the caliper, because you know that's not secured at all. There's no threads in it. All you do is push that guy into the caliper, and then you turn it, and that's how the piston moves in and out. So
what I did was I just removed it. So yeah, took me about, let's say, a good 4 hours to film and get it right. But oh, that's what I wanted to show you. The brake fluid level, now that it's been all pushed up and pushed back in, hopefully you can see that it's just under max, and I have not needed to add any. I just merely let that free and pushed all the pistons back in. So tighten that down, and hopefully, actually let's start the car and see if the light comes on, eh? There you go. Hey, no light. No light. Chahoo! And that concludes the brake rotor and brake pad swap. If you liked the video, please give me a thumbs up. If you didn't, thumbs down. Be sure to subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one.